Yo, yo, salute, salute. Hope everybody doing good on this rising. Had, a great last couple of days over the strong end. but we're gonna do a reaction, man, to UBTV. Salute to the brother, man. The brother been putting in work for a while, man, for years. Um, I've been subscribed to his channel, I know pretty much since he was pretty much one of the first channels I subscribed to coming into the Aboriginal, you know, YouTube community. And I like his take on things, man. He really be dropping bombs and gems. His perspective is on point. I know he been doing America's is Egypt, and I concur in the sense of what he's saying. Everything that is pretty much established and found or discovered in comparison to what they call Egypt, even with the land, a lot of the languages that was spoken, what I'm saying, have direct connection to what they call Egypt. I know with the book, I think it was the Mayan, it was something, the Lost Mayan civilization. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a book about the Mayans pretty much uh making their way over there in that space, that region, Egypt and Africa, and pretty much breaking down or giving a language that's considered the hieroglyphics. But that's another note. I know AP did a couple of bills on it. I think some more people, but we're gonna get right into this, man. Me myself, y'all know I'm definitely America is Atlantis guy, only because Atlantis is known to be the size of a continent. It's more so symbolic. It's not necessarily, oh, well, I mean, I am saying it is Atlantis because it is talking about the same pretty much land and area that Atlantis was in when you really do the studies. Most of the time you get the stories from a foreign point of view, as far as from Europe or Germany or whatever country that, or whatever people that speak on Atlantis. If you want to say, they try to act like it's a sunken island or something that was covered by the flood. But once again, I stated years ago that when you look up synonyms for flood, especially in the thesaurus, flooding can also mean to cover, which means to hide or uh to keep on hidden. You know what I'm saying? Flood don't necessarily mean just water. It can mean to literally wash away something, wash away history or knowledge, or shoot, as they trying to do with the original Americans, trying to wash out the ethnicity. You know what I'm saying? They want to relabel the people so much to the point where we done had like 5, 6 labels on us in the past 200-300 years alone. You know what I'm saying? From Black, African American, colored, Indian, Negro, shoot, man, you name it, Afro American. I mean, they done hit us with multiple labels. So we gonna get into it, man. Finna check out UBTV, man. This is a big bro for me. He's definitely one of them ones. I know, like I say, he's been doing it for years, man. So I want to give much credit and honor to the brother. And let's get into it, man.
This video was originally banned by YouTube, so I re-edited the video. Hopefully, it won't get banned.
Can you deal with it?
They can't stop us. No matter what they do, they can't stop us. Lex. They can't stop us. Lex. Nah. They can't stop us. Yeah. We ain't build no slave ship. We ain't make those anchors. We ain't plot those grave sites up since daylight. Burdened by the things we try to make right. It's gonna be a late night. So much turmoil makes my blood boil. Kundalini, encore. Earth is sunbroad. Dirt is unsoiled.
First,
there is electromagnetic energy in that pyramid between.
All right, y'all,
mentioned
bear with
in
me.
Genesis as the
Go back some.
Yeah, rockin', yeah. They can't stop us. Keep stopping. Keep rockin', yeah. They can't stop us. No. Nah, they can't stop us. No. They can't stop us.
And you peep game though, that's crazy work. You know what I'm saying? Showing you the creation and like modern time of what they call in Egypt today over there in Africa. So I hope everybody peep game with that. It's a documentary out on how they built up Egypt pretty much as an amusement, like an amusement park for over there. It's a documentary out about it, man. Yeah, it pretty much happened in the early 1900s or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
Mitzrayim Tamari, the land first mentioned in Genesis as the place where Abram and Sarai sojourned when there was a famine in the land. Genesis 12:9 and 10 indicate the journey is traveled toward the south, as well as the location of Egypt relative to Canaan after the death of Terah. Verse 10 states, down into Egypt, which is an indication that Egypt possibly lies at a lower elevation. If not, then quite possibly the word down could be synonymous with south. However, the root meaning of Taman, south in Hebrew, means to the right. Nevertheless, from the south of Canaan, they were to travel into Egypt. According to Jasher, around the same time, Rickion becomes pharaoh by enacting a tax from the dead. We also know the custom of the land at the time was that the king would only be seen once per year in the public forum. And this was the only day to bring grievances to him. When it came to Abram, he passed off Sarai, his wife, as his sister because of her extreme beauty. The Aramaic Targum translation suggests that Abram had not fully beheld Sarai until she undressed to cross the river into Egypt. As it seems, Abram is actually rewarded for his deception towards Pharaoh in saying Sarai is his sister. But was he really being deceptive? Remember, Terah is Abram and Sarai's father. So technically, Sarai is his half-sister. The result of Abram being Sarai's brother caused him to obtain riches under the favor of Pharaoh. But conversely, Pharaoh was cursed as a result of taking another man's wife. All of these things he acquired under Pharaoh, who the book of Jasher says was Rickion at the time. Mitzrayim was supposedly a place of well-built civilization, whose story of exactly how and when it was founded gets lost in context. By the time of Abram in Genesis 12, the Tower of Babel had been destroyed and men had been scattered upon the face of the earth, just before in Genesis 11. We also know that the lands were divided in the days of Peleg after the tower. So in this same context, we know that wherever Mitzrayim is located, its civilization is already established, with very little detail mentioned prior to Genesis 12, describing the historical foundations of such civilization. If we just take the roles of Pharaoh, which many sources make synonymous with the king of Egypt, but we know began with taxing the dead, we can see the role of Pharaoh change from Genesis to Exodus. In both instances of Abram and Joseph, Pharaoh doesn't act as an oppressor until after the death of Joseph. Then does a different Pharaoh become the face of oppression. We begin to see this during the life of Moses, in which the role of Pharaoh becomes the oppressor, synonymous with Mitzrayim or Egypt. But what about the land of Mitzrayim or Egypt, as it is called in the King James Version? What clues in Scripture can give us a definitive description of Egypt? The Nile is a stream, not a specific river, but the river of today is a river that many people think is somehow mentioned as a specific river in the Bible. It is not. The Nile is a Greek translation that changed the word Nile into a proper noun, in which it is abundantly clear it is not. In occasion after occasion, the word Nile was changed from its true form and meaning. An initial mention of a river associated with Egypt in Genesis is in Genesis 15:18, when Abram is given through covenant the land in its most simple context, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates, neither of which is the Nile, because, as we have already established, the Nile is an improper noun. Again, we look at Isaiah chapter 19 in multiple translations and contexts.
Hello, my name is Adam Ferrari, the Chief Executive Officer of Phoenix Energy. I look forward to you joining.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying, we know for ourselves in our studies, man, they took a lot of words and terms and wanted to place them in areas that they wanted it to represent when it come to the translation of the Bible. But when you actually get to the root of what the words, you know, represent and really mean, you know, whether you got a concordance or you well versed in Hebraic languages, ancient, modern, you know, however you want to put it, as long as you can translate what these terms are or how these terms are being used from the Greek or the Hebrew text, then you would be able to narrow down more of what's going on in the Bible. And that's how we really come to the conclusion that they was talking about the Americas. So
the mouth of the Nile is the Egyptian Sea. This major contradiction in biblical geography cannot be explained away by just changing the root meaning of the word Nile from an improper noun to a proper noun. Any biblical scholar will tell you that this is the same river mentioned by name throughout the Greek translations of Scripture, but that same scholar cannot properly reconcile the problem with its literal inconsistencies. Most biblical scholars put the Sea of Egypt as the Red Sea. In doing this, they must be creative in order to make these landmarks fit into their proposed geographical templates. What ultimately happens is the truth spirals down the open air latrine of heathenistic nonsense. In order for this nonsense to...
You see what I'm saying? So if you peek game, you see the Mississippi River right here on this map, and it's showing you all the rivers that connect to it, you know, naturally at that. You know what I'm saying? No man-made, no nothing. So got to peek game on these images too.
To fit their templates, words, names, and meanings must be translated completely out of context. For example, if most academic scholars put the Egyptian Sea as the Red Sea, then where is the Red Sea? How does one account for that? Even by naming the sea different names, one is still left with a major hole in their theory. The mouth of the Nile isn't at the Red Sea either. So whichever body of water they use to indicate as the Egyptian Sea, neither fits. More evidence. Their information is manufactured to promote false geography. The mouth of the Nile is the Mediterranean Sea, which is represented by neither the Red Sea or the Mediterranean. According to scholars, the Mediterranean Sea was labeled as the Great Sea, recognized as the largest body of water on Earth. This is the central part of their deception, the world map. The only existing manuscripts remaining from anything chronologically close to antiquity are products manipulated and refabricated from the hands of Greco-Roman families. Why would classical Egyptian history only be explored and taught through the lens of non-Egyptians? Or were these Greco-Romans also Egyptians as well? To understand.
And that's the question. Them the questions you gotta ask right there. That's what make, you know, that's how you can clarify more, because it don't make sense for everybody else to be telling the story, you know what I'm saying? And it's getting glorified publicly, except the story that's actually coming from the source or the people itself. You know what I'm saying? So either way, over time now, you know what I mean, a lot of stuff just being hijacked, man.
Understand this, we must work backwards, starting with present day and showing the direct correlation from the past to the present. In order to do this, we will begin with the field of Egyptology and the gatekeepers who uphold the status quo.
To the great escape of 2020. There's more room. Are you ready?
The narrative concerning Egypt sits mostly under the hands of Europeans and Freemasons, specifically the French, followed by the British and the Germans. But why do these people control all the information about a people's history for whom they are seemingly unrelated to? The Louvre in Paris and the British Museum control the Chronicle. And what reason would these nations have to create a manufactured story about Egyptian history? And furthermore, how is it that the French became the leading experts in ancient Egyptian history rather than Egyptians themselves?
You know, it's crazy, man, because You got at one point in time, man, it seemed like people was trying to give the French credit for almost everything, for pyramids, you know what I'm saying, star forts, languages. It's like, I don't know, man. It's kind of wild. You get a lot of French influence. You get a lot of, what they want to call Spanish influence. Um, I mean, it's kind of wild how they try to give so much credit to the French, man. Like a country not even the size, I don't even think bigger than the Carolinas, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I have to really check that out. But from my understanding, how are these small countries like Italy and Rome and Italy, the Portuguese, the French, the Britain, these are damn man, they like islands compared to some of our states. You know what I'm saying? So it's just really taking heat to it, man. It's kind of wild.
And why did the top Egyptologists study in America and Europe rather than exclusively in Egypt? At what point in time did prophecy become present? And at what point did the conqueror's fairy tale become fact?
Dude, I just got a grocery delivery from Misfits Market. I have been
Yeah,
wanting to
man.
get back into grocery delivery when I get really busy. I'm not.
Like I say, man, big bro be on it. I mean, his logic, his questioning, everything's right in line with what we've been saying all these years, man. Shout out to UBTV, man. Rock with him. Got to give him his flowers, yo.
According to the historical narrative, Napoleon Bonaparte invaded Egypt in 1798 as an offensive against British India, apparently to stop British trade access to India. British India wasn't an actual sovereign nation which operated and controlled Egypt. British India could only best be described as merchants whom had set up trading posts, most predominantly the East India Company, were accompanied by forts on land which had been acquired by force.
And you know what I'm saying, Pete, the Red Cross, is this the same cross for the Red Cross? You know what I'm saying? We know these people united in the 1940s when a lot of stuff changed anyway. You know what I mean? The 1940s hit all of a sudden. Boy, technology on the rise and everything on an expansive level. We was building about that the other day, man, me and my partner. So, it's kind of wild. And then you had even more, I would say, reconstruction of things, because you had them calling what they want to call Iraq now, which is Palestine, you know what I'm saying? In actuality, really trying to get that to being the actual credit of where the Hebrews is at. So just a bunch of hijacking, man.
Or by simply squatting on uninhabited plots of land along navigable waterways. Jacques Cartier was one of the first French explorers to do this in America, navigating down the St. Lawrence Seaway. But this point cannot be overlooked. The most notable French explorer, Napoleon, his expedition and invasion of Europe happened at the exact same time as the Louisiana Purchase.
And that's you gotta peep game on that, man. This is putting a lot of stuff together you know what I'm saying, in perspective of what was taking place. You know what I mean? So, God P. Gang, it's the same time Louisiana Purchase happened. Like, let's get to it, man.
The course of these parallel events occurred during Napoleon's Battle of the Nile against the British. Coincidentally, the French were also battling the British for control west of the Mississippi in the exact same narrative and fashion in which Napoleon obtained vast plots of land in America.
Crazy work, man.
So
That's
a
crazy
serious
work.
question should be asked. How did Napoleon acquire ownership of vast lands in Middle America, while at the same time he was invading Egypt?
That's major, man.
This game, you're not ready for.
You know what I'm saying? He just debunked it. He just debunked it.
All right, guys, I'm going to be reading an article
It's debunked.
that is entitled, "Why Did So Much of Napoleon's Family Come to America?" Few things are closely linked as the Bonapartes in France, but the famed emperor's family also had strong connections across the Atlantic. No fewer than 5 of Napoleon's 7 siblings, and very nearly the little corporal himself, either lived in the United States or had children who did. Generally sharing Napoleon's restless ambition, military prowess, and knack for drama, these American Bonapartes even included a member of President Teddy Roosevelt's cabinet.
That's crazy.
Jerome Bonaparte. Jerome's in the house. The youngest sibling of Napoleon became the first Bonaparte to step foot in America in 1803, the same year his brother nearly doubled the size of the United States by authorizing the Louisiana Purchase. Wow. Amazing. At a party in Baltimore shortly after his arrival, Jerome danced with Betsy Patterson. Who the Betsy Patterson? The daughter of a prosperous local merchant. Okay, all right. You know about the merchants, Ezekiel. Sparks apparently flew when his naval uniform hooked into her gown, and they wed that December, much to the chagrin of Napoleon, who annulled the marriage and refused to let a pregnant Betsy disembark when the couple sailed to Europe in 1805. Wow. That naval button hook. Napoleon's a hater for that, by the way. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know what the deal is with Betsy Patterson. We're going to look her up. She might not know shit. Protest notwithstanding, Jerome acquiesced to Napoleon's demands. Okay, so he's dutifully marrying a princess and serving as king of Westphalia in present-day Germany. Okay, that's not France. Okay, doing his thing. All they do is marry princesses around her. Betsy, meanwhile, returned to Baltimore with an annual pension of 60,000 francs. Okay, I mean, 60,000 francs. You can live off that today, I think. I don't know. What's the exchange rate on francs? A substantial sum at the time, apparently, I would think. Cut off from the Bonapartes, she nonetheless continued regarding herself as essentially royalty, even telling her son with Jerome that he should never degrade himself by marrying an American. Well darn, Betsy. Well darn. Alas, their son did marry an American. Ha! In your face, Betsy. Betsy. He had 2 children of his own.
He said he had 2 children of his own. Said he did marry an American, had 2 children of his own. So, oh no, the story is kind of iffy about it. Sounds like she's moving around in a lot of different countries and places, and just all of a sudden got money. Sound pretty strange to me. Something strange for some change.
Oldest Jerome Napoleon Bonaparte II. Does that mean he's the second Jerome or the second Napoleon? Yeah, the second Jerome. Yeah, okay. Served in the U.S. and French militaries, whereas the youngest, Charles Joseph Bonaparte, a lawyer, joined the presidential cabinet of Theodore Roosevelt as Secretary of the Navy. Okay. And then as the Attorney General, he gained a reputation as a trust buster and a supporter of African American rights. Okay. And he also established a force of special agents that would become the FBI. Oh, yeah. All right. He's a supporter of African American rights and also established the FBI. That makes more sense. Complete sense. Jerome and Betsy's line of American descendants would last for just one more generation. Their sole grandson died childless in 1945 after fatally tripping over the leash of his wife's dog in New York City's Central Park. Hold on. After fatally tripping over the leash of his wife's dog in New York City's Central Park.
Yeah, now that sounds fabricated to the fullest, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, he tripped up and he couldn't catch himself falling, or how did this work? Was he standing over a ledge? This is crazy work right here as far as they giving his story. And then it's the last other bloodline, boy. Sound like they, I don't know. Sound like they got taken out.
How frail do you have to be to die after tripping over the leash of a dog? Was it? All right. Got a lot of questions here, but R.I.P. Jerome Bonaparte. Romy Rome. Their only great-granddaughter, on the other hand, married a Danish count and purportedly raised her children overseas. Joseph Bonaparte. Napoleon's oldest sibling, Joseph, went incog Cajun after following his brother's downfall and escaped to the United States. In the summer of 1815, after briefly living in Philly, he bought Point Breeze, a massive estate on the banks of the Delaware River in Bordenton, New Jersey. Flush with cash, particularly once his secretary retrieved a box of buried treasure from Switzerland.
At Spectrum, we believe every day unlocks unlimited possibilities. Spectrum transforms your gaming experience.
Hey, these stores be wild, for real.
This is always coming up on treasures. He also purchased an even bigger property in upstate New York with a lake at its center, now called Lake Bonaparte. Can we look up Lake Bonaparte? Anybody been out there? Anybody ever been to Lake Bonaparte? At Point Breeze, Joseph housed an immense collection of artwork, furniture, and books, as well as royal jewels from Spain, where he had been king from 808 to 813. That's 1808 to 1813. His library was the largest in the USA, says Monroe Price, a professor of international history at Bradford University in England and author of Napoleon, The End of Glory. It was 8,000 volumes, and the Library of Congress at that point was 6,500 volumes. So this is very interesting here. I just want to stay on this point that a member of Napoleon's family had 8,000 volumes and the Library of Congress had 6,500. Okay. So for any of you who do serious research, you understand that the Library of Congress is a huge resource for us who want to seek old information. When you want to look at a book from the 1800s and you don't want to pay $1,800 for it, you go to the Library of Congress because there's a chance that they may have it and it's free to look at. So the Napoleon family member at Point Breeze, is that Joseph Bonaparte? Joseph Bonaparte has a library that's bigger than the Library of the Congress. All right. I just want to put that into perspective. Similar to how we would say Caesar stole all of these volumes from the Library of Alexandria. You know, the same Alexandria that Napoleon captured. Charming and refined, Joseph purportedly got along well with local townspeople who helped save his valuables when a fire rushed through the estate in 1820. Wow, those townspeople are heroes. At the same time, he hosted a steady stream of Napoleonic exiles and dignitaries, such as Revolutionary War hero Marquise de Lafayette and future First Lady Louisa Adams. Some evidence suggests Joseph may have even declined an offer to sit on the throne of Mexico, which was then seeking independence from Spain. Wow. You've never heard about Joseph Bonaparte, but he obviously was the man.
That's some Pharaoh type movement. You know what I'm saying? If you want to call it that, you know what I'm saying? King, whatever you want to call it, that's a power move. If you already got more books than, it's like you provided those books basically, or however you want to look at it. You know what I'm saying? You had all these old books. This is crazy work, man. And to be that, I guess that's why the French would have so much influence when you got stories like this, and you know, these type people able to be labeled and titled, you know, pretty much the main stakers of all this. It's pretty interesting, man.
He was about to be the first fresh. He was about to be I don't know the first. I don't know. I don't really know Mexican history like that. But I think he was about to be the first French Mexican president, which would have been crazy for 1820.
Yeah, if you really do, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on taking place, man. That's why I say the reconstruction of history. That's really where you gotta kind of do all your analyzing. That's where you gotta do your most questioning during the 1800s, going up to, you know, the early really up to the 1940s, man. Really, they still trying to do it. They still doing it, you know what I'm saying, by, you know, wanting to just completely wipe out certain information or say it's pseudo or disregard, you know, certain archaeologists or scientists because they may agree on things that can be proven rather than just going with theories. And this is what's taking place. You know what I'm saying? A dead theory stands over facts or proven, you know what I'm saying? Proven, y'all know what I'm saying? Evidence. It's just proven evidence. You know what I'm saying? We can't forget. This is a crime scene.
A French Mexican president. You see how these countries are trading lands? You see what's going on here? For 100 years, the French controlled that area in the middle of America, and Napoleon goes to Egypt, and all of a sudden, he gains all of this land after he wins in Egypt, but eventually loses in Egypt and has to sell the land. After Napoleon's death in 1821, the Allied European powers loosened travel restrictions on the Bonaparte family, promoting several members to set off for the year, sir, with Point Breeze as the usual first point of call. Joseph's two daughters, though not his wife, arrived in 1821 and 1823, and he soon arrived, had American-born grandchildren running around the estate. Various nephews came as well. Okay.
We pretty much take it all. Fridges and dishwashers, dressers, drawers, couches, mattresses.
So they saying this man had a whole
We're gonna
lineage.
skip Joseph. Oh, Lucien Bonaparte. As with Jerome, Napoleon strongly disapproved of his younger sibling Lucien's choice of a bride. But unlike Jerome, Lucien stuck with his wife, preferring to live with her in self-imposed exile rather than become a monarch like his brothers. Oh, love over power. Lucien Bonaparte. History, y'all. In 1810, Lucien and his family set sail for the United States, only to be intercepted by a British warship and brought to England, where he was forced to remain until Napoleon's first abdication. After Waterloo, Lucien tried again to reach the United States, but the European powers refused to grant him the necessary passports. Okay, so did he make it? I really don't want to keep okay, that's only one more paragraph. Lucien ended up living out his days in present day at Italy. Although he never made it to America, at least two of his children did. One son, Charles Lucien, married Joseph's granddaughter, Zenaide. Charles Lucien married Joseph's granddaughter, Zenaide. And the couple spent about 5 years at Point Breeze, where the great library is. Considering one of the perennial, ornithologists of the 19th century, Charles Lucien published a 4-volume work on American birds and befriended John James Audubon, a fellow American of French descent. Another of Lucien's sons, Pierre, also visited Point Breeze, as well as New York City, where he gained a reputation for rowdiness and once reportedly stabbed a dog. Okay, that's cool. Or, what did the dog do? If the dog tried to attack him and he stabbed the dog, then, I understand. You got to take a dog out. But if he just savagely stabbed a dog, then for no reason, he's got to
crazy work.
I don't want to continue with this story. All right. Pierre would later shoot a journalist to death in Paris. He shot a journalist to death in Paris. All right. Pierre Bonaparte, y'all. Louis Bonaparte. Like his brother Lucien, Louis went to Italy post Waterloo and never visited the United States. Okay, so we don't care about him. He never went. Now we got Caroline Bonaparte. Napoleon's younger sister, Caroline, married one of his top cavalry officers, Joachim Murat, or Joachim Murat. During the height of Napoleon's powers, the pair ruled as king and queen of Naples, and they eventually broke with Napoleon in a futile attempt to keep their throne. After Waterloo, Murat was executed and Caroline was exiled to Austria. Both their sons, meanwhile, went to the United States. Arriving in 1823, Achille Murat would spend most of his adult life in Florida. Okay, so he was in Florida, where he fought in the Second Seminole War, married George Washington's great-grandniece, purchased dozens of slaves, and engaged in a number of quixotic business schemes. A hothead and an eccentric, he apparently hated bathing and once lost the tip of his finger in a duel.
See, there we go with that hating bathing again. We, you know what I'm saying? We verified that with the hygiene topic in the American Indian Encyclopedia, man. They was talking about how a lot of those people, royal people at that, you know what I'm saying, mentioning them not bathing. I think they was saying Queen Isabella only bathed twice in her whole life or something like that, man. So, hey, these people, they sound like some savages. You know what I mean?
This is the Bonaparte line, guys. Napoleon Bonaparte. After Waterloo, Napoleon's French base of support evaporated and foreign armies rapidly closed in on Paris. Knowing that his enemies would kill or imprison him, the abdicated emperor himself turned his sights to America. The U.S. was a safe haven. Ideologically and practically, Price says, it's clear he would have had a positive reception. In addition to applying for passports to the United States, Napoleon began studying the geography and ecology of the New World and reputedly plotted to smuggle millions of francs. He then fled to the French Atlantic coast where ships awaited to take him to America. After dithering for days, however, Napoleon ultimately surrendered himself to the British, who were blockading the coast rather than chance a humiliating capture. Napoleon's genes wound up in America anyway. The fallen emperor's illegitimate son, Charles Leon de Noailles, had a son who purportedly joined Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. This is by Jesse Greenspan and History.com.
Something amazing happens in the Cairo Desert at the foot of the Great Pyramid. What we believe to be the world's first archaeological dig is established. There are scholars from a wide range of disciplines. Architects, surveyors, and others studying the Great Pyramid, first of all measuring it.
Empower your students to be more authentic, impactful writers with Grammarly's comprehensive AI writing assistance.
According to the top Egyptologists, the pyramids were built over 4,000 years ago using the metric system. But according to the World Historical Narrative, the metric system was discovered by the French in 1798, the same year Napoleon invaded Egypt.
You know what I'm saying? That's crazy work. Crazy work. That explains a lot dealing with the architecture and the style. But even so, we know, measurements, the metric system, maybe their metric system was established that way, but y'all already know we've been had one over here, man. We was doing calculus thousands of years ago, man.
Do we assume that this unit of measurement was lost and never used again for 4,000 years? Or did the French rediscover the system and take credit for the creation? Nonetheless, the chronological and historical parallels between Napoleon's invasion of Egypt and the French and British participation of the Louisiana Purchase are undeniable. One of the most important supposed discoveries of Napoleon's invasion was the discovery of the Rosetta Stone. Some historians say this is what the entire field of Egyptology is set upon. However, today the stone sits in London at the British Museum because the French eventually lost to the British in 1801 at the capitulation of Alexandria, and the British took the stone along with other relics and possessed them unto this day. What are the chances that the British and the French are being truthful about Egyptian history. According to the historical narrative, 3 types of script are found on the giant Rosetta Stone: Greek, Demotic, and hieroglyphic. Until this point, no one could even understand Egyptian hieroglyphic. The stone reads Ptolemy as the acting pharaoh during the commission of the rock, making this stone Ptolemaic in origin, thus not authentically Egyptian. The Ptolemies were not Egyptian, they were Greek. This family came into power after the death of Alexander and the subsequent division of his kingdom. As mentioned earlier, the Seleucid kingdom reigned in Syria, and the Ptolemaic kingdom ruled Egypt. The Seleucids were kings of the north, and the Ptolemies were the kings of the south. Egypt fell to Rome under the Ptolemies after the death of Cleopatra, who was also a Ptolemy, aka Greco-Roman. There were multiple Ptolemies and multiple Cleopatras, none of which were Egyptian. These were titles. Outsiders ruling a land in which the well-being of the people was of no concern, milking the land for its riches and using those riches to build elaborate palaces and monuments to themselves and to gods. Much history was lost under the reign of the Ptolemies, as many of the original texts were translated to Greek and hieroglyphic was repackaged with the Ptolemaic seal of secrecy.
There you go. You see what I'm saying? So when you got stuff like that going on and you get this form of history given to you, I mean, you're going to be confused and lost in the sauce. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have people trying to make one whole continent of people. You know what I'm saying? The American Eagle, y'all trying to make everybody think that they was all from Africa, man. Crazy work. That alone is diabolical, man, in its own right. I mean, you got to start there, man. This is diabolical.
As well as putting their footprint on the language, this dynasty is also attributed with building massive temples and grandiose public works. The Ptolemies are depicted predominantly on several Egyptian monuments as pharaohs. The lighthouse at Alexandria, on the island of Pharos, is considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. This was built by Ptolemy I, as well as temples, idols, and statues erected for worshiping the god of the sea, Poseidon. As mentioned in the lecture, Poseidon is the father of Belus. Belus is the father of Egyptus, the person by whom Egypt is named. Also, according to Greek mythology, Poseidon married Libya, who is said to be the daughter of Epaphus, king of Egypt. She is the woman for whom the territory of Libya is named. According to the Greeks, Epaphus was the son of Zeus. He and his wife, Memphis, are also said to be the ancestors to the Dark Libyans and the Ethiopians.
I look forward to you joining us at our next investor webinar, where you can drill deeper into our 9 to 13% annual interest.
Even the mythology surrounding ancient Egypt is fundamentally Greek. Fact: until Napoleon's invasion in 1798, ancient Egypt, as we know it, did not exist. This area had previously been a post-Caliphate Ottoman Islamic province, and even prior to that, a Byzantine Roman province.
And I'm gonna add in the fact that I had a book called the History, Culture, and Language of Yoruba, and it was telling you how those people that stayed in where Egypt, around where Egypt at, and western to it or whatever, going towards Nigeria and all that, they were saying that basically they didn't never see those pyramids, and they just popped up out of nowhere. And this book came out. I think that book came out in like 2003, 2004, and it was talking about, the dude was telling the story about, it was an African who wrote it. He was telling the story about how his people were saying that, their grandparents or whatever was saying that those pyramids just popped out of nowhere, pretty much, man. So he cooking them.
And even before that, it was a Roman province. It bordered 3.5 oceans, as evident by their ever-changing maps and views of the world according to the caves. On the Strabo and Ptolemy maps, places that could be easily traveled on foot were completely covered by oceans, which presents an interesting thought. Was that side of the world completely covered with water? And 95% of continental Africa did not exist? Or are these maps purposely deceptive? Either way, the more we learn about their story, the less we can trust.
But these astonishing numbers only work in meters. The length of the meter depends on a precise calculation of the circumference of the Earth, and that was only defined in 1793.
The meter and the dimensions of the pyramid are based off the circumference of the Earth. The ball and the pyramid are tied together. The pyramid and the ball and the pyramid, Finkel and Einhorn and Finkel.
yeah, he's tripping, man. He going in on them though. I get it, cause I mean, we already know, man. This terrain is we don't know how much terrain this planet got, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all been peeping them Beyond the Ice Wall documentaries and people showing maps of Beyond the Ice Wall and all that, man. Hey, man, it gets a little tricky out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It gets a little tricky. This world might be held on a frequency, vibration or whatever, base realm. Certain things you just are gonna get into related to your frequency, or however you want to see it. It's like that. You know what I mean? So until somebody go beyond that wall, we really don't know, because we ain't had nobody. We ain't had too much evidence of nobody going and coming back. So it's crazy work out here, man. This spinning ball thing been debunked. That's a fact.
The ball and the pyramid
are tied together. The day of the Geechee is over. The day of the Geechee is over.
Several centuries has wandered in the desert, it is because this shamanic function has been either suppressed or forgotten, and different images of the artist have been held up at different times.
Like I say, man, all that is man, they saying that's recent. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, like I say, they saying all this right here is recent, man. This is modern, pretty much work done to mimic ancient culture.
The artist has handmade the artist has.
At the same point during the Ptolemaic era of Egyptian rule, the Hebrew Torah was being translated into Greek. This was done to get the 100,000 Jews who had been taken captive into Egypt by Ptolemy to assimilate into Greek culture. In the mid-2nd century BC, these Hellenized Jews were tasked with the creation of the Septuagint. And even the Septuagint uses the word Mitzrayim in its references to Egypt. It must not be avoided that the word Egypt didn't appear until after the creation of the New Testament and the arrival of the Greek.
It's major.
If Egyptus is really Mitzrayim, that would make Belus Ham, his father, the progenitor of the Hamites. And if this were true, that would make Noah captain of the ark, Poseidon, the sea god, who mated with Libya, whose lineage goes back to Zeus.
And that's I like how he did that with the comparison of what, or they guys, man. I mean, it ain't nothing to put a spell out there, especially when you creating altars and setting up books and so-called testaments of seeing Christ or seeing the representation of their energy, even representing the Pharaoh side or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It goes hand in hand. This is crazy work. Shout out to UBTV for making this drop more clear to us, man. Let's work.
Why was Mitzrayim changed to Egypt? Why was the word stream changed to Nile? Why are there no mentions of pyramids in the Bible? Why were the pyramids missing from early map manuscripts, but churches were clearly visible? Why, when pyramids did begin showing up, they were narrow and varying in numbers, totally inconsistent with the way the pyramids of Giza appear today? How could Napoleon invade Egypt but acquire Middle America?
Word, man. They did a 360 spin fake out. You know what I'm saying? Off the backboard windmill on history, man. I'm talking about they did a whole remix double. You know what I'm saying? So it's just showing you whoever in power of producing or labeling, you know what I mean? Pretty much saying they controlling or dominating on an economic scale through war or human trafficking, however you want to put it, man. You know what I'm saying? When you going, you gotta be almost savage, or if not just savage, to want to portray a lifestyle knowing that you run in multiple countries or a whole continent, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you really gonna do that, why not be be inspirational about it? Really create a well life. Me, people out here is greedy and selfish than a mug, man. All this remixing and hashtagging, relabeling. It's crazy, man.
Why is the fleur de lis a symbol of France, but also a symbol of corn, when corn is not indigenous to France?
Facts.
Why is corn mentioned in scripture as part of Egypt, but corn is not indigenous to Egypt? And why did it take 6 weeks for Napoleon to cross the Mediterranean? Too many questions and not enough time. To be continued on the next episode of America is Egypt.
You know what I'm saying, man? Y'all tap in. Tap into the brother, man. UBTV, man. You know what I'm saying? I liked it that one, man. He got another one. It's a mo out, man. That's fire. That he getting into the real deal analytical studies of what's taking place, man. And that's what we've been doing. You know what I'm saying? We've been in the game, you know what I'm saying? Doing this thing, investigating, thoroughly studying. You know what I'm saying? It's like that, man. This is great work by the brother, man. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to him and check him out, man. And yeah, we're gonna wrap this up, man. Did nobody hit the link and join me? Did nobody want to ad lib with me? So it is what it is, man. Salute to everybody that came through. Make sure y'all share, man. Like the video. And for those who new, subscribe when you come in. You know what I'm saying? So salute to everybody, man. Salute to everybody that came. Big Dog, OG, you already know. Big Unc, salute. Mike Dollar, my man Garrison, David Corey, Tashawn, man, Lou Era, man. Y'all already know how we do, man. It's big out here, man. The most hated bronze flat power, you know what I'm saying? Hey, we getting it in, man. Y'all make sure y'all tap in. We got more coming. I might be dropping another video or do another live later on. You know, I just wanted to tap in and see what UB was talking about, man. You know what I'm saying? That's, you know, that's one of the big bros as far as on my end. Like I say, he been dropping the information for a while, man. Heavy work. As you see, he said a lot of them videos got taken down because I remember he was doing America is Egypt before, but it seemed like he did have to start it over. So it is what it is, man. You know, he's still putting in the work. Hopefully they'll let the big bro work stay up, man. I mean, some things you just gotta let the water flow and stop trying to hold back and letting these people stay in power with all this nonsense, man. It's over with for it. It's the awakening era, man. Yeah, man. So y'all check out everything else, man. Of course, I dropped my book, my second book, man, as well. If y'all check it out on Amazon, it is let me go to it right quick, man. Show y'all what's up, man, with the book. Yeah, I did a second book, man. It's basically on the spiritual healing tip. Y'all already know how we get down, man. We keep it holistic and inspirational around here, man. I just want everybody to be the best they can be. That's me, you know. So it is what it is, man. If you with it, you with it. You know, if you wearing cologne, you use shampoo, you pretty much already using holistic stuff anyway. So it is what it is, man. But yeah, this is right here, man. Infinity Remedies 2 right now, only on Kindle. You know what I'm saying? And it should be on paperback within the next few days or so. It should be ready, but right now it's only on the Kindle app, the way you can look at it on your phone, PC, or tablet. You know, especially everybody should be compatible by now to have Kindle. So yeah, man, it's my second book, Infinity Remedies 2. I dropped the first one last year. So doing this one, I'm gonna do my best to get 3 up in the mix too, man. So especially before this year over with, just keep dropping the gems for the people, man. Show how we can really use the earth and benefit from it, really enhance ourselves, you know what I'm saying, on a deeper level, really aligning yourself to your higher self and sharing that energy with the highest energy that we all come from, man. So that's why I'm doing these books. That's why I do the information. It's not to take a shot at no other, race or religion or whatever you want to claim to be different of. To me, you know what I'm saying, as long as you got soul and real high spirit in you, you know, we all one. But at the end of the day, of course, I'm really trying to elevate my people to the fullest, because we do need it. We need a lot of healing spiritually, mentally, and physically, man. A lot of our people really have, some things they got to really work on, man. But at the end of the day, it's people out here that do man. We're gonna get up out of here either way, man. My bad on that. If y'all can, like I say, like, share, subscribe. We try to do this later on again, man. If not, probably tomorrow. So y'all already know. Rise up for sure. Peace.